Hey guys, welcome back to the Franchise Tag Podcast, kicking off week 16 of NFL action here on this fine Thursday morning. You know, what they say is third time's the charm, Elijah, and I feel
hmm
like that was wonderful, so we'll rock with
hmm
it.
Yeah,
We're going to start off as we always do, going over pick'ems from last week, which you updated, correct? Because I did not.
I did. Yes, I updated the records and the lock records.
Ah, wonderful. So
hmm
yeah, kicking off, going off with pick'ems, and then continuing with some fun topics. We've got a very interesting slate of topics for today. And then, as always, continuing our players by number and introducing a new segment that'll be here for a little while. And then any stock moves that you want to do, we can get to as well after that. Uh, but just to kick things
Yeah, since
off,
someone decided to kick themselves out of the stock show real quick and early.
hey, I can make moves. I just am choosing not to. I'm not locked out.
Mhm,
I have access to my account.
mhm,
All right, I have the money still.
mhm. Yep, the
But yeah,
fake money.
just to get through the pickums real quick, I went 10-6 and my lock hit, which means that overall I am 135-89 with a lock record of 11-4, and I think that
Yeah,
looks pretty good.
yeah. I vote to appeal the lock of the week to only count for 0.5. It was the freaking 49ers over Cardinals, all right? And mine should count for triple because it was Colts over the Steelers, and no one
See,
knows what the Colts are going to do week to week, man.
no, it's supposed to be a lock. They all count for the same.
I
It's
know.
supposed to be 49ers Cardinals. That was supposed to be the lock.
Yeah, yeah. You and your safe locks. Me, I'm busy, you know,
I mean, it's
taking
impressive, but
chances
you
with
don't
the
have to.
lock.
It's not a requirement.
Hey, we got the same record, you and I. And you know what? I'm not
Hey,
taking no cheap ones.
Thursday night, we got some big news. We can both be happy about this as we're at each other's throats about the locks.
hmm
The
Um,
Raiders put up 63. Why? Also, Brandon Staley, former defensive coordinator, defensive minded head coach, let the Raiders put up 63. And yeah, I didn't realize
I'm
Justin
not.
Herbert was playing so much defense for the Chargers. Because damn, when he goes down, that defense goes to shit.
I'm not sure if you were paying any attention at all to my constant live tweeting of that game. um,
I was paying a little
I
bit of attention. I caught a couple.
I I started that completely as a joke. That
Hmm.
was I no expectation. I was like, oh, the Lions started off to a 21-point lead, and this doesn't really mean much. But I went ahead and after like first quarter they were up by like 14. I went ahead and dropped like scoregami projected to hit 46-0, and I just kept updating projected scoregamis based on how much they were scoring and just multiplying it by how much time was left in the game.
Hmm.
And lo and behold, the game ended in a scoregami. Shout out to NFL Scoregami on Twitter. Uh, that's always fun to see. I believe it's the 1083rd unique score of the NFL. So
Yep.
yeah, that
Um,
was my fun on Thursday Night Football.
my fun on Thursday Night Football came on Friday afternoon, really.
Mm.
And well, you know, I did have a couple good ones on Thursday. I asked the Chargers to put in Max Duggan because that would be wonderful. I'd love to see him in game. Easton Stick actually had a very respectable performance, I will
Yeah.
say. He posted a
hmm
very nice performance. His defense
He just
just did
doesn't play
not.
as good defense. He
As
doesn't play as good defense as Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And then I asked why Brandon Bolden is still in the league. Shout out Brandon Bolden. It wasn't meant to be disrespectful. I just mean how, because he's not a young spry guy anymore.
oh, bars.
Uh, and yeah, and then that night, the NFL rumors page, they're you know very mediocre rumors and tweets, and it's not really that good of a page. But they tweeted out that this might be the night where Brandon Staley loses his job. I retweeted that and said we can only hope. And then we hoped and we hoped, and our wishes came true, and he got fired the next morning. So
Yep.
yeah, check out our Twitters for fun updates like that. But yeah, Brandon
hmm
Staley and the GM both got fired, and the linebackers coach, I believe, is now in charge of being the head coach.
Yep. Once again, that linebackers coach, the interim pipeline. gross.
And
Uh,
it kind of was not like surprising, but I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were kind of shocked that Kellen Moore didn't take the job. And in my eyes, he has nothing to gain from being the head coach
mhm,
of a team who lost his starting quarterback and is trending down with a bad defense. Like,
yeah,
he's an offensive minded guy without his number two receiver, with a drop heavy number three receiver, and a kind of banged up number one receiver, and no quarterback, and a running
yeah.
back who can't run faster than 15 miles an hour. And like, it's just a terrible situation. That's a really funny screen to be frozen on, and I'm so glad you were frozen on it. But it's a really terrible offensive situation.
F off.
Huh?
I said F off.
It's a really terrible offensive situation. So an offensive coordinator gains nothing by going into that role, except for other teams seeing him struggle and being like, okay, well, he's clearly not head coach material. But a linebackers coach, if he pops into that interim head coach role, posts a couple decent defensive performances, boom, he's looking at a defensive coordinator job next year, or at least a bigger role in a defense next year. Like, there's not much to lose if you're a positional coach that has a chance to be the head coach of a football team. So I understand the move, and I know I think Kellen Moore declined the job. I don't think it's that he wasn't offered.
Yeah, I mean, even if he was offered, like, I wouldn't offer him. Like, if there was the opportunity to offer him, I wouldn't, because at most you're giving the league a couple of games to see your offensive play caller in a head coaching role, and there's going to be some head coaching jobs opening up, and they might be looking for an offensive minded coach, and they see, oh well, as an interim, they won out. Like, huh? Like, you're probably not going to be retaining him when he's getting head coaching offers after just 1 year removed from his Cowboys stint at OC.
Yeah. And then we also had some fun Saturday football, and that's something I wanted to kind of talk about, kind of address with the pick'ems last week. I made like our entire pick'em sheet for the full year at the beginning of the season when none of the matchups had been actually like timed out.
Yeah,
So all of
to
them
be
past
determined
like
for
week
the
15 were
scheduling.
TBD.
Hmm.
So this week it's going to be the same, but I think I'm going to go through and fix it at some point. So when I'll do that before we record pick'ems, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can cut that out. But I wanted to apologize for that. That's a little bit
That's
of
a
a
slip
no
up.
brainer on me.
Yeah. In regards to the Saturday games, where do you want to start with that? The Jake Browning show or the Minshew hospital balls? Where you leaning with that, and then we'll close it off with the Saturday night game.
I didn't really watch much Saturday football, so
Oh, okay. Then I'll take the reins there. Minshew threw a hospital ball so bad that it ended in a suspension.
that's right. Yeah, we can actually get to that now. I've
Okay.
didn't realize that was on Saturday, but we can move this up to Saturday. So yeah, Demonte KZ went to tackle Michael Pittman, and Gardner Minshew led Michael Pittman into a dive towards the safety, and that led to a concussion for Michael Pittman. And it was just unfortunate ball placement for both Pittman and the safety, and Minshew suffers no repercussions, but the safety is done for the year. And I don't think he should be suspended for diving at a guy trying to make a catch. That's his job, is to stop them from making a catch. So let him do his job. But I also think that if you're going to suspend him for the rest of the season when it's his first time like doing something bad,
Well,
get
he's
Kareem
gotten
Jackson out of the league.
that's fair. I saw that he has actually had six unnecessary or illegal, whatever like the penalty name for a hit like that is. He's gotten that 6 times so far this season.
Oh,
So
oh damn, maybe
yeah,
not.
so it's been a repeat offense for him with a lot of fines, I'm sure, being thrown his way, and now he's suspended without pay for for the rest of the year. But I think that it's not exactly, if that hit happened on any other pass, I think that'd be pretty valid. But I think the pure situation of where the ball was thrown, and that is just kind of unfortunate to be how he lands that suspension.
Yeah. Um, well,
Also on that Saturday, uh, for the Colts, Trey Sermon carried the ball 17 times, buddy.
88
88
yards.
rush. Yeah,
Good shit, Trey Sermon. I'm a big Trey
just want to
Sermon
shout that
believer.
boy out. Yeah.
Shout out Trey Sermon. Big shout outs.
Outside of that, I think one thing that really caught me off guard is that the Colts are sitting at an 8-6 record with Gardner Minshew being their captain most of the year. That really snuck up on me. you know,
Yeah.
that the playoff tension talks. That's kind of crazy.
They they had a losing record with Anthony Richardson, I believe.
Yeah, that's
And
my understanding as well.
whether or not it coincides with when Jonathan Taylor was not playing and then when he was, maybe it does a little bit. But uh yeah, Gardner Minshew balling for the Colts. I think it's also been their defense kind of picking things up and their team just kind of getting better as a whole and then more healthy. And yeah, very interesting to see them be successful after losing their fourth overall pick
Yeah,
quarterback.
yeah.
And
Moving on with that day, Nick Mullins, the fourth quarterback for the Vikings, there went ahead and put up a good fight uh, to unfortunately still lose the game. Um, Bengals come out with that win by 3 on Saturday, and then the final game of Saturday was the Broncos and Lions. I'm gonna be honest, I was terrified. I was like, okay, their defense isn't the defense they've been, and they're kind of on a roll, and our defense is pretty lackluster. But our offense kind of ran with it, and we didn't look back. Now, outside of the pure game performance, we had some questionable refing, as we do every single week.
yay, referees.
Woohoo! Yay, we love talking about it, don't we? It never
I
ends.
wish we didn't have to. Like I wish the
Yes.
refs were just good. It's good content, but it's
Now,
tiring.
Russ got screamed at for existing there, but I've seen some more context for that, kind of being that they probably wanted some extra time to look at the play and see if they wanted to challenge anything on it. And instead, he snapped the ball with 17 seconds left on the play clock. So it's not exactly great management there by Russ to just kind of get the ball off when there's no rush, given
Yeah.
that they might have scored, and I believe it was called back on penalty, and then they might have scored, and they ruled that his knee was down, and I'm not sure it was down before he crossed the line, and then Russ goes ahead and does a hurry up, and then
Yeah.
that whole ordeal ended the way it did.
We saw some monumental goal line collapses, didn't we? Cuz it was that and then it was the Jaguars on Sunday night on the goal line.
Mm.
And
So
that was just
that was
abysmal.
clock management, yeah.
Yeah. But it was
Um,
just abysmal.
to finish up the Broncos is on that play when he snaps it with time left, offensive offsides on the guard. Everyone was saying like, "Oh, no one's offsides here," but I think it was kind of like a lined up in neutral zone where the guy's helmet was literally over the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one flinched, but like his helmet's there. Why are
Yeah,
you
if somebody
saying there's no
flinched, it'd be
offsides?
false starts or false
Yeah,
start, not offsides.
like everyone's like, no one's lined up offsides here, and it's like,
His
dude,
head is.
here's the ball and here's his head. Like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
And it's the guard, not the
So
center. But yeah.
yeah, well, no, penalty was on Quinn Mine was the guard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
Oh
guard's
yeah,
head
not
was
the
over the
center.
ball, not the
Yeah, yeah,
center.
gotcha. Yeah, but yeah, that was some refereeing that was questionable just because of their spots, but also Broncos need to understand that they need to throw a challenge flag sooner than later on some of those.
Yeah.
All
If we
right, if
could,
you want to kick off some of the Sunday slate, you want to
yeah, we don't have too
tackle?
much here. The Bronco or not the Broncos, the Bills and Cowboys game was a very interesting one. James Cook had a hell of a game, over 200 total yards, just ripping apart the Cowboys defense. And it wasn't like it was, two big plays and then some solid play the rest of the game. It was just constant 10-yard gashes from him. And I saw a Theo Ash breakdown on the film, and it was just like really interesting to see how he's jumping before, or he's jumping where he knows offensive linemen's feet will be because they're blocking outwards and getting pushed back in. But he's going to jump now because he knows their feet will be like crossed and he would be running over their feet. And so he like hits the hole just perfectly and is off to the races and gets 15. And it's just a lot of little things that he's doing right on those runs. That's cool to see from somebody who is kind of written off as not a great running back.
As
Like,
Dalvin's brother.
yeah, he was touted as Dalvin's brother, supposed to be really good, and then just I feel like he was just a little bit underwhelming his first couple seasons or his first two seasons, at least so
Yeah.
far in his career. And now he has this breakout game that's like, okay, he might have something going for him, but as volatile as the MVP race can be, one bad game can completely take you out of it. I think Dak needs to play a perfect rest of the season to stay in that race. And it's tough
Yeah.
to it's unfortunate to say right after a bad game that, oh, that guy's not in the MVP race anymore. But then Brock Purdy goes
This
and
point of the year, it's really like crunch time for
yeah,
the awards. So
it's 3 games left and you're posting a performance under 100 yards and you just can't get away with that. And getting blown out by a team that's good but not amazing when the narrative surrounding your team is that you can't beat teams that are good. So it's
yeah.
just not a good look. And it also doesn't help that Brock Purdy put together a really nice performance for himself to kind of further his lead in the MVP race. And I've seen a lot of people
Mhm.
be mad that he's kind of the front runner. And
Because of his weapons, I'm sure.
yeah, it's
Is what I've
exactly why.
seen.
And I'm just like, why wasn't Jimmy G a front runner for MVP with the same weapons? Like, I
Not
don't know.
wrong there.
It's like if you're saying any guy could go in there and replace Brock Purdy and also be an MVP, why didn't Jimmy G? Why didn't they keep Trey Lance? Why is Brock Purdy the only person that can run that offense? I've said it before. I don't need to go into it again. I don't need to have the Brock Purdy talk again. But
Yeah, we've tackled it over and over. Um, Before we move on, I do just want to point out that the Panthers got their first win, and it was a 9-7 game.
second win, bud.
Uh,
Second win.
Second win. Yeah, sorry, they got their second win, and a 9-7 game where
Three
the
field
tickets were
goals.
as low as $20 prior, and the
45 cents is the
stadium
reported cost of the tickets
that
at
was the
one point.
lowest.
45 cents.
Uh, I had seen slow updates where like hours before the game started, it was $3,
Hmm. Yeah.
and
9-7, and the touchdown was to Cordarrelle Patterson, right?
the Panthers won without a touchdown.
Kicked 3 field goals.
Yeah. Quick thing to shout out as we will get into it. We'll get into it now. Going Arthur Smith cannot manage an offensive performance for his life. He announced that Desmond Ritter is going to be benched next week, and Taylor Heineke is going to be taking over the role. That's
Again.
after,
Woo.
yeah, right. That's after Resmond.
Resmond Ditter.
Yep. Desmond Ritter had a 15.5 QBR in the game and a
What?
passer rating of 79.
Dog, what?
It it's not great when he's shown up by Bryce Young, who's kind of been down and out for most of the year on terms of any production.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, Bryce Young's story is by far not over. He's not
No,
he's not
no,
done
it's
writing his
just
story, but
weapons, it's coaching, it's like I mean the whole franchise gave up 10 weeks in.
yeah.
So
10 weeks is a little
uh
generous. I think they gave up about 5 in, but
well, in terms of firing the
true,
coach.
true, 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 true. And then on Sunday as well, we did see Mahomes and his weapons struggle, right? And they still won. despite their struggles, despite Kadarius Toney gift wrapping Jelani Tavai an interception by bobbling it and handing it to him. We saw Justin Fields' weapons do even worse somehow. Robert Tunyon just bobbled and dropped a wide open pass 40 yards down the field that hit him in the hands, and he just bobbled and dropped it. I don't know if you saw that one.
What's that? No, I did not know. I saw the Hail Mary. And that was
Look
it.
up Robert Tunyon just on Twitter. It'll be the first thing that
Mm-hmm.
pops up. And then obviously the Hail Mary with Darnell Mooney, where he had it in his lap and just threw it out of his lap. And was like, nope, I don't want a
That one I
touchdown.
give a little bit more of a
Yeah,
leeway with
coming down on
way
the
more heads
ground
up play.
and the ball bobbling around, like it's tough to catch. But as an NFL receiver and as like the wide receiver 2 of your team, and you're a pretty decent wide receiver 2, you should probably come down with it when the ball lands in your chest. So maybe that's just me. Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
that's the Bobby Tunyon one.
That's not even just the Bobby. Okay, Tunyon, horrendous. All right, but immediately replied under that was, um, that on a 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, Justin Fields just tripped while running for the yard to gain. Tripped and
It's
was
rough.
marked down short of it. So that's also rough.
I want to see the Bears draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1 and Brock Bowers at 4, where they will inevitably end up with their pick, and give Justin Fields good weapons that can catch the ball and see what he can cook.
While we're on that game, I think it's only fair that we talk about the fact that Joe Flacco somehow the magic hasn't worn off. I don't know how,
He's elite.
but it just hasn't. They came back down 17-7 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
And
I
there was
remember
a scary little Hail Mary there, but they made the comeback and it was a little wild there.
I remember looking at that game and I was just like watching the box score every now and then, and I checked it and I was like, ah, darn, it's 17-7 fourth quarter. I guess that Pick'ems was wrong. And then I looked at the end of the game and I was like, huh, 20-17. All right, nice, good job,
I
Brownies.
I made the opposite mistake because I saw it and I was like, yeah, that one's in the bag. Nice. No.
It's the Bears. It's never in the bag. We should know that.
Yeah.
And then Monday night, last night for us, a few nights ago for y'all, the Eagles are once again fraudulent. Matt Patricia
Mm-hmm.
has yet again managed to disappoint with his coaching. Shortly before that game, they announced that Matt Patricia would be the defensive play caller, and Matt Patricia proceeded to lose to Drew Lock and the
Yeah.
Seahawks.
I'm actually shocked because the Eagles losing helps the Lions, and I never thought I'd see Matt Patricia do anything to help the Lions.
Leaving.
Uh,
You saw him leave. That
uh-huh.
helped the Lions.
Leave. You say it as if it was his choice.
Fair, fair, fair. And then from that Monday night game, I do want to kind of talk about most turnovers in the NFL, as well as Jalen Hurts' fraudulent rushing touchdown for a quarterback record that he's about to break. He's about to break Cam Newton's. Yeah, I think he's one off
For a season.
in a season by a quarterback for rushing touchdowns. And you see Cam Newton was running 30 yards, flipping over defenders and landing the flip in the end zone. Jalen Hurts is getting his tush pushed into the end zone from one single yard out. And if it's any more than that, oh boy, he can't score. And the league leaders in turnovers, just wanna read you out 4 names. Josh Dobbs, 17 turnovers. That's kind of a shocker just because he hasn't played in like every single game. He's still tied for league lead in turnovers. Sam Howell, 17 as well.
That's not
Somewhat
surprising.
expected, not a super crazy one. Josh Allen, also somewhat expected, has 17, and he's gunslinger. It's you kind of expect a lot of turnovers with him. Jalen Hurts also has 17 turnovers and is tied with Josh Dobbs, Sam Howell, and Josh Allen for the league lead in turnovers. Whether or not you think that interception, whether or not you think his toe was down on that, 16 turnovers isn't a good look for Jalen either. So take one away, doesn't really matter.
Oh man. All right. As we've rounded out the kind of a recap of Week 15, we got a new segment coming. But before that new segment, I want to just throw in a fun little fact, and I'm gonna make a little game here out of Gabe. How many starting quarterbacks do you think there's been so far this NFL season? And hopefully
50.
50.
Yeah. I think that was as of like 2 weeks ago, it was 50.
That was my guess when I was listening to the Brett Coleman podcast when he was laying this question. It's not 50. Right now it's 73.
Okay, now are we talking about quarterbacks to start a game or like
Start a
quarterbacks?
game.
Wow. What the hell?
No, not take snaps, to be a starter in the game. The Browns have had 4. The Vikings have had 4 with Dobbs, Jaron Hall, right?
Yeah.
Um, Mullins and Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals you can add into that group. There's just, I mean, it's going to go up because I believe CJ Berthard's going to be getting a start. So we'll
For
see where that
Tila?
goes. I thought so. I thought I'd seen something, or maybe I'm thinking of last week, and then he magically just was fine, right?
Yeah, he still
Maybe
has
I'm,
not missed a game in his entire career due to injury. That's high school, college, anything.
that's crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought fucking 73 blew my mind because you think 32 NFL teams, 64, that's like every quarterback gets hurt and the
Mhm.
backup comes in for a game. That's, you know,
But the
we're past
problem,
that point.
I mean, yeah, the problem though is it's not backups getting hurt as much as it is backups just sucking. And so they're like,
Yeah,
okay, we
they're
have to try
cycling.
something else.
Mm-hmm.
And also, not even starting quarterbacks getting hurt, but like, oh God, our starting quarterback
Desmond Ritter.
sucks. We have to bench him and put somebody else in. So it's like, yeah, it's a crazy number to say that every team has had like 2 different starting quarterbacks, but
Yeah, average wise. Yeah.
like a little over. But if you really think about it, like I can only name a few teams that haven't had multiple different starting quarterbacks. So it kind of checks out with a couple teams having 4,
Mm-hmm.
several probably having 3 with starter goes down, backup sucks, second backup also sucks, but they gave him a shot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot, but it's also a little bit understandable when you kind of
Yeah.
break it down and think about it.
I wonder what that number looks like past 5 years because I mean, Aaron Rodgers is even on that list. He got a start and he
Yeah.
took snaps,
Yeah.
and they've gone through quarterbacks as well. So I wonder, kind of going retrospective on that, what those numbers look like.
Yeah.
But that's the little question out of the way, and now we're kicking off into a new segment where don't really know what this is going to be called, but I'm just kind of playoff team stat breakdowns, basically. So far, we have had 4 teams clinch their playoff spot. The
Hold on,
49ers
hold on,
did
hold
it
on.
last week. Go ahead.
Before you continue with this, the Browns can clinch a playoff spot this week.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of scenarios. There's a whole lot of teams in the hunt, and the Browns have been clawing
I just
for
don't get it.
so
I just
much
don't
of the year.
understand how they're still in it. Like I saw somebody talking about how Kevin Stefanski should win Coach of the Year because of what he's doing with that
With
team, and I was
scraps.
like, yeah, fair. If he won it, I wouldn't be mad.
No, there's a lot of people where like you can't really be mad. I mean, it's like the rookie coaches that are taking over for the first time. They're, I mean, hell, we just talked about the Colts. Like the Colts
Antonio
can make
Pierce.
the playoffs. Like
Antonio Pierce is a name that I think would be really cool if he won it. Cause like I don't think he's the best coach in the league, but with
it's just a fun one.
yeah, with how terribly Josh McDaniel was or Josh McDaniels
Probably yes.
was doing with that team, and then this like former player linebackers coach is like, I'm gonna drop 63 on the Chargers, and then just does it. Like that'd be cool to see him win it. But anywho, continue on with the playoff stats segment.
Yeah. So the clinching, uh, the teams that have clinched so far, we have 4 of them. Last week, the 49ers did. After week 15, so have the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Ravens. the breakdown, the analysis here, we've broken it down into kind of 6 stats, which I would say are like the main focus ones, and then other ones which kind of just help paint a different story. So our breakdown here is the offensive pass yards per game. We have offensive rush yards per game, offensive scoring, defensive pass yards allowed, defensive rush yards allowed. Also, the opponents scored allowed. Then we have opponent win percentage and point differential and turnover differential, kind of just extra little things to add in, with the main 4 being the ones I listed previously. So I'm looking at this and I can already draw so many conclusions. Do we want to start with which one of these teams we think is the worst, or which one of these is the best? Because
So I
there's
want to,
2 very clear cut out of these 4.
yeah, I want to talk about two things. Number one, the Cowboys, what we'll call strength of schedule, is crazy different than everybody else. Like everybody else is bordering on 50%, as y'all can see. The 49ers are straight at 50%, and then Eagles and Ravens are both at 52%. So they're all right around what an NFL schedule should look like, where you're playing some bad teams, playing some really good teams, and playing some teams right in the middle. And I think that's what the NFL schedule should look like every year. A couple teams have it a little easier, a couple of teams have it a little harder, and it is what it is. So 49ers, Eagles, and Ravens all have right around that 50% mark
15
that you
at
expect to
least.
see.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit above. And then there's the Cowboys with 43%. And that's just like it's nuts how bad their
The gap.
schedule was.
Yeah.
And you can't even say it's the weak division because the Eagles play in the same division and their opponent win percentage is at 52%. And
Yeah.
just as a
It's
real quick, just as a clarifying point, when we calculated opponent wins and losses, we did count divisionals twice. Initially, we were not going to, but it's just every game you've played, what was the record of that team at this point? So the numbers can also change going forward, like
yeah.
when every
In 2
team
weeks from
plays
now. Yeah.
next week and everybody's updated, whatever. But it's just such a stark difference for two teams in the same conference or same division to have such different strength of schedules. And like I was saying, divisional opponents are counted twice because the division leader obviously clinches a playoff spot. The
Yeah.
people you play in your division are much more important than just whoever you play outside of your division, because of teams like the ones in the NFC South, where one team with the losing record's probably going to make playoffs and their strength of schedule is going to be garbage and they still barely made playoffs. So,
Yeah. While we're on the Cowboys here, I do want to point out one particular stat which I think was very incremental to their loss this week. Out of the teams that have clinched, they are the worst at defending the run. 19th in the league. Niners are sitting at a 3rd place, 89 yards. The Eagles, 7th, 94 yards. Ravens, 10th, 102 yards allowed. And then the Cowboys come up with an average of 117.4 yards allowed per game to the opponent. And that's 19th in the league. I think that's pretty evident why they were managed to get gashed by the Bills, who even haven't had a good run game. They still pulled it out, squeaked out a competent one to just demolish the Cowboys, who have a top pass defense. They didn't want to attempt that so much with Josh McCannon arm and throw those interceptions their way. So they went ahead and they made sure we were going to gash you where you're weakest.
yeah. And boy, did they gash them. But yeah, some of these stats are really interesting. The Ravens with the lowest points per game allowed is very interesting.
Yep.
Their strength is, I think, a big, like, partially their offense. I think their offense is a huge strength of theirs, but their defense
Their
is equally
defense.
strong.
Yeah.
And that offensive rush yards per game is another crazy stat where third place has 140 and they're over 160 per game. And
Yeah.
just we didn't talk about it, but Keaton Mitchell had a really bad hyperextended knee on a Sunday.
The outside run play. That was Sunday night. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday night. So I told you that I wasn't going to go out of my way to see it. I didn't want to see it. I came
Hmm.
across a still of it, so
Hmm.
I did see it anyways, and it was pretty bad. Uh,
I didn't open Twitter for probably a solid like 12 hours, so I think I missed that whole part of the timeline.
yeah, I didn't see it actually like bending. I just saw a still image of it fully bent backwards, and it was pretty bad. So probably multiple torn ligaments for him. He's done for the year easily. Unfortunately, he's such an explosive, fun player to watch. But yeah,
Yeah.
and
So do
then
you want to keep tackling Ravens or switch bounce around here?
I'm just bouncing around. I'm just pointing out interesting stats. One thing that's really interesting is this points per game category. Obviously, the best teams in the league are going to be scoring the most points, but all of
Hmm.
them are top 8. Like the
Yeah.
the worst team in points per game is the Eagles, shockingly enough, at 7th.
Now, if you want to flip that and look at offensive points per game and look at the stark differences there, where
Eagles are
we
letting
have
up
the
a lot.
Ravens the best, we got the Niners second best, Cowboys are fifth, and then 26th in the league, Eagles. And that's also the same when you look at the defensive pass yards allowed. The Cowboys are the best at that, as I had mentioned. They have a good one of those. They are fourth. The Ravens are sitting at seventh. Niners are middle of the pack with 15, which I was a little thrown off by, but I mean, I've been hearing that they've got some corner weaknesses,
Yeah,
so
for
not
sure.
super surprised. Um, the
I,
Eagles are sitting at 28th. Now, a little, quick survey of teams that are worse than that. We have the Commanders. We also have the Buccaneers and the Chargers defense.
that's it.
That's it.
Wow.
Those are there's more, but that's just a good little margin of the group we're working with there. They have not proven to have that same defense that they had last year, where it was kind of the not their strength, but it was kind of the main touted part was, oh, we have so many sacks, we're doing so much production wise, and it's kind of taken a step back there.
Yeah. Two things about the Eagles that I think are the last two things I have to say on this graph or on this chart. They are they are taking a massive tumble. They're 2-3 since week 10 and just not looking good recently. And I don't know if it's because teams are starting to figure them out or if there's been some regression on the O line or it's just the defense. But offensive points per game wise, obviously they're top 8 in the league, but they're giving up almost as many points as they're scoring. Like their point
Yep.
differential is
Uh-huh.
like not overall, but just like per game is 1. Like on
Yeah.
average, they are winning games by 1 point. And
Yeah.
week 1 against the Patriots, they let them score 20. And I was like, this Eagles team is not good. Like this Eagles team is letting up way too many points to a terrible team that I know the Patriots to be for them to be like for them to be considered that good and still be letting the Patriots torch them for almost lose to the Patriots. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had mentioned their turnovers, right? So Jalen with 17.
Mhm.
Um, their turnover differential, their defense isn't making up for that. They
Yeah.
have -6 in the turnover differential, 26th in the league. No one else that has clinched playoffs so far is outside of the top 10. They are quite literally bumbling away the lead they had on the NFC.
We're continuing our players by number thing that we're doing. Last episode was 41 to 50, and that was a little rough to get through. This one is 51 to 60. We've got a couple mediocre numbers, but overall, we've got some really good
Pretty
players
fun.
here. At 51 is a really interesting one, unless I missed somebody, because I've got two names, and that is Will Anderson and Quiddy Pay.
You miss one, but I honestly don't really think many would consider it a miss. I have Sebastian Joseph Day.
I
He's
did
currently
notice
on the
him.
Chargers, and I know him as a Ram, so I'm not sure how he's been recently with the Chargers based on their overall defense. I wouldn't assume great, but
Yeah,
I'll throw him in as an honorable mention.
I clicked in on his thing, and I was like, he's okay. But yeah, shout out. And then between Will Anderson, Quiddy Pay, Quiddy I think has more sacks, but Will Anderson has like a dumb amount of pressures and like
Oh,
just
dumb.
really
Like
good at
28.
as a rookie.
It's something
Yeah,
crazy.
So I think I'm gonna lean Will Anderson, but shout out Quiddy Pay. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's a little. I I'm not wanting to lean to rookies much, but it's kind of like this was a weaker number, and the ones that are established,
leaving that in.
the players that are established haven't done enough to like this season to cement themselves over Will Anderson.
Yeah. Moving on to 52, we've got the boy, the man, the myth, the legend. We've got Creed Humphreetball. And then we've got Khalil Mack, Rashawn Gary, Jamin Davis. Uh, just honorable mentions to Jamin Davis and Rashawn Gary. I think it's really between
Rashawn
Khalil
Gary,
Mack and
yeah.
Creed Humphrey.
Rashawn Gary's had some crazy years with the Packers, but yeah,
This year
he's more
it's
honorable mention.
yeah, this year it's not as crazy. I mean, Khalil Mack has that what 5 or 6 sack game that's just carrying his total, but he's at 15 on the season. So shout out him. What are you thinking? I need your input on this.
I'm gonna I think pick for both of us here because when I say that we have a top one player at a position and Khalil Mack as kind of a top 10, you got to go with the guy who's, I mean, it'd be, pushing it, but there's so many edges. Like, you know, anyone could be top 10, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
But
just looking at numbers though. Like Khalil Mack's putting up numbers this year.
Creed Humphrey Ball is like top two, not two.
Yeah,
So
but at
do I
center
want to? Yeah, okay,
versus
that's fair.
edge rusher.
I'm I'm thinking, I guess, a bit more on the term of like team building as like I'm picking the best player by number and we're making a team at the end of it, I guess. That kind of thoughts lured me
Yeah.
away because there's gonna be a lot of edge rushers, but there's not gonna be a lot of Creed Humphreys.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I do agree that Creed Humphrey is probably the best center in the NFL, if not number two. But just based on the fact that I don't have a name to insert as this guy's number two or number one,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll probably say that Creed's number one. And shout out Khalil Mack for the season he's having, but you take away that one game with 6 sacks and he's under 10 on the year. So he's not like that
What's he looking on
absurd, but
pressures?
I think I'll lean Creed. But big shout out to Khalil Mack for this season, just in general.
Oh my goodness, no kidding. 28 pressures for Khalil Mack. Moving on to 53 here, I have listed Ernest Jones, TJ Edward, and Shaq Leonard. A little linebacker heavy of a number here.
I have
Any
another
numbers
guy.
that I missed? Ooh,
I have
who
Boye
may that be?
Mafe, who has had a quietly good season. He's
Okay.
got like 7 sacks and is just like, after having a kind of mediocre last year, he's kind of just doubled his production. So just a shout out to him. I do have Shaq Leonard written down, but he's had a like ever since that injury, he's gone from being, you know, all pro first team as a rookie, winning defensive rookie of the year, all pro first team his second year, all pro his third year, and then just fell off a cliff and is not efficient or very good anymore after that injury. And if I'm taking players right now, I don't know who I'm taking
He's
here.
not on. Yeah,
Like he's not as good as he used to be, but that doesn't mean he's bad. Like he's still good. And then with TJ Edwards, he's also good, but I don't know if I'm taking him either because I just don't know that much about him. And Boye Mafe, I don't know if this is a fluke doubling in production or if he's genuinely like a lot better than he was last year. And if he is, then I'd probably lean towards him for a stronger edge rush. But I think I'm leaning TJ Edwards just to kind of shoot in the middle. He was a strong part of the Eagles defense, then went to the Bears, and he's having a solid year. So
bringing in our favorite tool, PFF, just to see if I can get anything to make you make up your mind outside of that. I mean, TJ Edwards has a really good grade, 81. That's
yeah,
pretty impressive.
I'm assuming Shaq Leonard's
I
isn't that good.
I would assume not. I'm not even. I don't need to go down that route because I'm just assuming it's not great. Um, Ernest Jones sitting at a 76 isn't bad either,
Yeah,
and
59 for Shaq Leonard, by the way.
I'm kind of bit biased towards Rams. So I like Ernest Jones. I think that he did really well developing next to Bobby Wagner, and I think that this year has been really great. But
Mm.
as a fan of a team that has to play the Bears twice a year, TJ Edwards has been looking pretty damn good.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
highest
be taking TJ Edwards there.
highest PFF grade out of the three that I listed, and I don't know how Ernest Jones is doing. Or you said he's in the 70s?
Yep, 76 or
Yeah.
78.
So
I
Shaq Leonard's
70.
at a 59, Boye Mafe is at a 72, and then TJ's in the 80s. So I think I'll go with him. Moving on to 54, we have I think one of my favorite NFL players right now, and he's not like a guy I talk about a ton, but he's just like
Highlight reels go crazy.
the best player at his position, and that
Yep,
is Fred Warner. I have some shout outs to do for this number,
nice,
but my
nice.
pick is Fred Warner. Like it's
Yeah,
not close.
there's a good handful of ones, and then you started with just Fred, and I was like, did he happen to see any of the others?
Yeah, I have three other linebackers
Mhm.
actually listed. I think they're all
Yep.
off ball, but I'm not 100% sure about all three of them. Um, Bobby Wagner, obviously, big shout out.
Hmm.
He's historically amazing. And this year, I mean, kind of pushing age back and being good again. And then two Bucks linebackers, or I don't think they're current Bucks linebackers, but two of them that I know as Bucks linebackers, and that's Levante David and Quan Alexander.
Levante's still a buck.
I know Quan
Quan is
is, and I
not,
think
though.
Quan's on the Saints right now. But
Yeah, Quan's done some moving around, I think.
oh wait, he's on the Steelers. My bad.
Ooh,
So yeah, shout out to both of them. Quan Alexander had that one game against the Falcons after one of his family members died, and he just went crazy in that game. And he like chased down Julio, ripped the ball out of his hands, and took it back the other way for 40 yards. And it was just a highlight reel game. So shout out Quan Alexander, shout out Levante David, just a really solid linebacker. But yeah, Fred Warner not close.
yeah. It's for me. It was Fred or Bobby, but I mean, it's got to be Warner. Top defense. We went over it there. He's a crucial point of that.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, number 55. There's a just a few. I have Logan Wilson here, linebacker for the Bengals, and Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker for the almost said Colts, Cowboys
Cowboys.
here.
I looked into him. I don't think he's been
Vander
playing
Esch.
a ton this year. Yeah, he's out for the year. He has a
Mm,
potential career-threatening neck injury,
I-
so
he's been wearing a neck brace for so long. I mean,
his entire career because of neck injuries in the past.
yeah,
But yeah, so he's done for the year and possibly longer because of a neck injury. So I didn't write him down. But I did write down Cole Holcomb as a name who is also done for the year. But shout out.
shout out Cole Holcomb. You go Logan Wilson with me then,
Yeah, I'm
because
gonna
I
go
had my
Logan
heart
Wilson.
set on Logan Wilson. He's been. I mean, I'm having to watch the Chiefs play the Bengals in the playoffs, and Logan Wilson tears it up.
Yeah. At 56,
So,
I've got a couple offensive linemen and then another really good linebacker. I've got Quentin Johnson. No,
mhm.
Quentin Nelson. There we go.
Yep,
Quentin
there you go.
Johnston's the bad receiver for the Chargers. Alex Highsmith and Demario Davis are my three names.
I had a couple of shout outs to Leonard Floyd and to George Karlaftis.
Yeah, shout out George
They
Kaloftis. I did see him too, but I didn't even look at him.
didn't register.
Yeah.
Hater.
No,
Leonard
I
Floyd, and
I knew
that's
who he was. I saw his name and I was like, oh, he's been doing pretty good. Oh, Quentin Nelson's really good.
moved on
Um,
real quick.
uh,
um,
Let me check
Leonard
PFF.
Floyd again. That Rams bias for me. He's currently on Buffalo, and he's been playing pretty good. He's seeing less snaps than he did for the Rams, but I mean, he still has 22 pressures on the year, despite
That's
only
solid.
playing 50% of snaps. So pretty good little rotational pickup for them, and he's been pretty good for a long time. So he's actually pretty up there on my rankings here. But I'm gonna let you go first on making your final pick there.
Um, Damn, Alex Highsmith actually not an offensive lineman. I was wrong. He's a
No,
DN.
what?
I don't know. I don't know who I was
He's the
confusing him
opposite
with. I
edge
thought
from
he was.
TJ.
I
Yeah,
thought he was a center. So I don't know who I was confusing him with, but yeah, his PFF grade is nuts. I don't.
Highsmiths.
Yeah, it's 87.9. Like it's damn
That's
near 90.
pretty
And
nuts.
Quentin Nelson is not as good as he once was. I don't remember what
No,
happened, but I
couple
know.
years removed.
Yeah, and then Demario Davis is just always a really good linebacker. And I'm gonna again defer to the PFF grading system. And Demario Davis is a 90, so I'm gonna go ahead and beef up my linebacking core and take Demario Davis here. I knew he was good. I recognized his name and I was like, oh, this is a really good linebacker. I just don't know how good. And yeah,
Highsmith has through the past 2 seasons, so since the start of 2022, he has a very solid 50 pressures. Not too shabby there.
that's pretty good.
Demario Davis, isn't he off ball? I think he's
Hmm.
off ball.
Yeah,
Um, I think I'm just gonna be playing this with my heart because Floyd's been really good when he gets full snaps. Nelson's a couple years removed, so I think actually I'll be giving into my little bit of bias there, and I'll be going at Leonard Floyd here, just for some fun, just to mix it up. Going with my
okay. Keep it different. I
another guy
see. I
here.
see. I
Yeah,
see. At
shout out
57,
Leonard Floyd.
at 57, I've got Fred Warner's teammate Dre Greenlaw. Sorry, Fred Warner's like side by side field neighbor, Dre
Yeah,
Greenlaw.
ejected. No, they got some distance now because he got ejected
Ah,
out that
true, true,
one.
true. Uh, yeah, really good linebacker, also off ball, and then C.J. Mosley as well, really good off ball linebacker for the Jets, who
I have a
started his
couple.
career.
I have a couple other names to shout out for that. Um,
So,
First off,
yep.
they're not all in the running of the prestigious awards we're giving out as best player by their number, but Dick Absher from 1967 to
Dog, what?
1968 wore number 57. And you might be thinking, oh, what if we want to go further in the past? Well, then I've got the guy for you because Johnny Blood wore number 57 from 1926 to 1927.
Anywho, who are you taking
Uh,
at 57,
back
Elijah?
back to the actual thing at the matter here. I'm going with CJ Mosley.
Okay. Let me see Dre Greenlaw's PFF grade, and then I'll probably agree
Shout
with you
out
and say
Jermaine Pratt. I also wanted to do that.
yes,
Shout
indeed.
out Dick Absher, Johnny Blood, and Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah, I'll take C.J. Mosley with you. Damn,
Hooli.
I'm gonna have a formidable linebacking core with Demario
Dude,
Davis,
our
C.J. Mosley,
linebackers
and
are
Fred Warner.
stacked.
Dude, Logan Wilson is gonna be riding the bench.
I'm gonna kick us off with 58 here because I got two names: Matt Milano and Panay Sewell.
Wow, just shade to
You know where
Darnell
I'm
right
going.
then.
If I had to pick one tackle,
Yeah, I picked two tackles.
nice.
I just wanted to put Darnell right down because he's having an absurd season. Rookie
Fair enough.
tackles almost never translate to the NFL really well, and he's just like by far the best part of that Bears offensive line. So it's really
Shout out
cool
him.
to see.
I didn't
Shout out
see that.
Darnell Wright.
I know he wore that number. I didn't see him when I looked at the
Mm.
list, but good shout out.
But yeah, Penei Sewell is my pick. I don't think it's particularly close.
And we'll round this out. Who do you have for 59? Because I have one name.
Yeah, he had a bit of a rough week this week, but Devondre Campbell is my name.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
Glad we agree
he will
there.
also be riding the bench, as Packers fans will be very happy to hear. And then at 60, I got one name. This one I'm fairly certain is a center, but I'm gonna double check.
Yes.
I'm
David Andrews, I presume.
no Mitch Morse.
The other one. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
two centers at this one.
I
Uh,
didn't even see David Andrews when I looked. Damn,
yep.
fake Patriots fan.
Big fan.
Big
Ooh.
fan. Let me go back and check.
I think we're agreeing
Oh
on
my
Mitch Morse
God,
here,
yeah,
though.
David Andrews. I did not see. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take David Andrews.
Ooh. Well,
He's got a
all
higher
right.
PFF grade, and I know he's good. I just know the name of Mitch Morse.
Yeah. Then in that case, I'll go David Andrews. I figured if you glossed over his name, it's because you were a real not going with him. But I'll I'll double dip at center in the 50 to 60 range here, and I'll go ahead and get him as well.
Yeah. Alrighty. And then, do you have any stock moves you would like to make?
I have a huge celebration in the fact that the Panthers are now worth $750 for me,
Oh my
and
god.
the Bears lost some money for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'll be cutting my losses with the Bears stock today, and adding 750 to my little cash out piggy bank here, and I'll just pretend it's here. Edit it in. You're not gonna. Um,
Yeah, I'm a lazy editor. I'm not even gonna do a
so
full stock pick or full stock watch edit
yeah,
here.
there's no need. The My bank has hit 2,300 now. My total value is at 3,100, so I'm just 100 behind you. I'm catching up. I'm chugging along, and I'll be keeping my 5 Panther stock here. Uh,
Why?
Fingers crossed. Well, see, mathematically, if they lose this next week, they don't lose value. So if they win this next week, bada bing, bada boom, I earn myself another like 25 per stock or something. So
50. 50 per share.
ooh,
So you would eclipse me if they win this week. All right.
yes, and then I'll be able to cash out in peace. So those are my moves
Oh,
for the week.
Packers, come on. You got to win. Fuck. All right. On to the pick'ems, I believe, which for the first time I have not made prior to recording this episode. My pick'em sheet is still blank. So I'm going to
I
be
mean,
doing
I get
this.
to start us off.
No, I'm going to be doing this all on a whim as I
Thank you.
go. I'm always starting us off. So Saints at Rams.
White supremacy.
Wow.
That's a jump, huh?
Yeah, Saints at Rams. This one, it could go either way, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Rams. I don't believe in the Saints really ever. Uh, Unfortunately for my fantasy team, who has Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara on it, but I just don't believe in them too much. And then I'm gonna take the Steelers at home. I still am operating under the assumption that Mike Tomlin is going to get his winning record, and this is a game that I feel
Mm.
like they just have to win for that. It's at home, a divisional opponent against a backup quarterback. Are the Steelers also trotting out a backup quarterback? Yes, but their offense has never been their strong suit, so it's okay. But Jake Browning is on a revenge tour of the entire league for passing on him, and I will be devastated when the Steelers inevitably lose. But I'm going to go with the Bills over the Chargers for fairly obvious reasons. But I could definitely see this as like if we had like an upset central where we insured one pick to like if the
The
other team wins, then that
That's
I
our
could see that
upset of the
happening.
week. That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could definitely see the Chargers beating the Bills with a new coach, just because Easton Stick didn't play bad, and Brandon Staley was clearly a very big problem for the Chargers. So I could
Yeah. We
definitely
could.
see the Bills riding high off a win from the Eagles and or off a win from the Cowboys. Sorry, and just kind of coasting and being like, this is an easy matchup. Interim head coach, backup quarterback, we got this. And do I share that viewpoint? Yes, I do. I think the Bills got this, but could definitely see it as a loss for them. Colts Falcons.
Be the dagger in their playoff hunt.
Yeah, Colts Falcons. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Colts until Arthur Smith is gone. I probably won't pick the Falcons in any game because they're just incapable of doing just about anything. And then Packers at Panthers. I'm gonna take the Packers. It's the damn Panthers, man. And then Browns at Texans. This I'm gonna do like your conditional pick with the Rams earlier this year on if Matt Stafford plays. If Stroud plays, I'm going Texans. If Stroud does not play, I'm going Browns. But preemptively, I'm going to take the Browns, just because they're playing pretty decent football right now. Lions at Vikings, a pretty clear Lions pick there. Commanders at Jets, I don't want to pick, but I'll take the Commanders, I guess. And then I'll take Seahawks over Titans. I'll take the Jags over the Bucks, but that's definitely another game where I could see the Bucks winning. It's a home field game for them, and they're on a roll. I'll take Bears over Cardinals, and Dolphins over. I'm gonna do another conditional. If Tyreek Hill plays, it's Dolphins. If he does not, it's Cowboys. But preemptively gonna say Dolphins right now. And then Broncos over Patriots, Chiefs over Raiders, Eagles over Giants, and then 49ers over Ravens. And I'm going to be locking the Chiefs and the Raiders just as my kind of safe pick.
Yep, that sounds like that. A safe pick. I'll go ahead and kick mine off. There's a lot of similarities here. I have the Bengals beating the Steelers because I'm operating on the fact that the they will not hit the winning record. So I have the Bengals picked there. Bills, Colts, I also agree with. The Packers, no, I hate the Packers. Screw them. They're gonna lose. Panthers are gonna win there because I want stock money. Give me the money.
Okay.
Uh, I have to have full belief in it for it to happen. That's my motto. Um, I'm operating on the basis that he is back, so I'm going to be picking Texans over the Browns there. And it would flip flop if he's not, but I'm picking based on the fact that he's going to be coming back. And even if he doesn't, I mean, Nico Collins might be trending upwards to return as well. So that's what I'm looking at. Lions, Vikings. I have the Lions, obviously. I do want to say that facing the Brian Flores defense is scary. But I hope we can manage that. The Seahawks, I have beating the Titans. Oh, I skipped one. The Jets, I have beating the Commanders, so I'm going opposite you there. Seahawks, I have. Jaguars, I have. I'm locking the Bears over Cardinals. Fingers crossed on that one. First time locking the Bears, so I keep that streak alive.
Interesting.
I have the same picks as you throughout. So home teams winning throughout. Dolphins, Broncos, Chiefs, Eagles, Niners. And that concludes the. Did you set a lock? No, you did.
I did
Right.
for Chiefs and Raiders.
Chiefs, Raiders, yeah. And that
I
concludes the pick'em section for me.
I think that Ravens 49ers matchup is going to be very, very interesting, and it could be a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, that's definitely like one to watch. But
And it's a Monday night game, so extra intrigue.
yeah, that's literally lights are on, and that's
I'm
going to be really hype.
I'm just
I
crossing my
have the Niners
fingers.
because of the stats we've looked at and how top of the end they are. The only weakness they have is pass offense, which the offense for the Ravens wasn't great in the past. So, which I mean,
Yeah.
that's not their scheme. But fingers crossed, Niners win that one.
Yeah, the only thing that's always odd about Super Bowl previews and stuff like that is the different conferences where
Mm-hmm.
the level of competition just seems to be so different, and it's never predictable. It's never like, oh, the AFC is so much better of a conference that if a good AFC team plays a good NFC team, the good AFC team always wins. It just seems like one team is always unprepared, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just because the teams don't play each other but once every 4 years, or like what the reasoning is. It just seems like it's never a super close, super good game. But all I'm hoping for in that one is no injuries and a good close game and
Yeah,
good
no, I
refing,
think
good referee
I
play.
hope refs. Yeah, I hope refs don't do nothing. Um, to
Let
jump
them
in.
play.
Yeah, for real. I think that concludes our episode, though.
That does get to the end of the episode. So check back with us next week for best players by numbers 61 to 70. Gonna be doing a lot of offensive linemen in that
That
one.
O
We
line's got
know
to
you
get
love
beefed up
that. We
there.
know y'all love
Uh huh.
offensive line just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Trey Sermon. Shout out Rondale Moore. Shout out Daryl Henderson.
Shout
Sh-
out Daryl Hendo.
shout out Hendo as always. Um, Shout out Bryce Perkins. I don't know what he's up to, but
Ooh,
big shout out to Bryce Perkins.
big shout out to
Big
Bryce
shout
Perkins.
outs. Shout out to our Discord. You should join that. It's going through some renovations pretty soon, hopefully. So,
Yeah, hopefully
new
we
place to
actually get
live.
on top of that. But go ahead and talk crap there. Bryce Perkins, please join.
Bryce Perkins, if you somehow see this, I've gone to one live NFL game, and it happened to be that Rams Chiefs game where you came in, and that was one of the most fun experiences that I've ever had watching football. So, big shout out to Bryce Perkins. Wholesome end of the episode, not devolving into chaos. Later.
No, wait.